Engines roared as the diplomatic fleet ascended from Luna Prime. Aboard Sentinel's Reach, Admiral Saria Vex watched Earth vanish behind Aurora-lit clouds, her expression unreadable. She activated the encoded relay, speaking 5 chilling words. Confirm Annihilation Protocol. Global blackout now. Her second-in-command paled. Earth had chosen silence, over submission. The Council High Assembly on Trinaris didn't see it coming. One moment they broadcasted peace accords. The next, stars blinked out on their communication maps. No explosions, no declarations. Just absence. The galactic web frayed like wet paper. Panic began where clarity once reigned. Admiral Vex turned from the bridge, her voice cold steel. They thought Earth would kneel forever. She opened a console. The names of 312 embedded agents lit up, each blinking green. They buried us in their archives. They forgot we learn. She pressed the key that would unmake empires in absolute silence. Agent Yulan, deep within the infrastructure vault of UMEC 4, paused as his retinal scanner blinked red, authorization granted from a dead planet. He exhaled once, then rerouted the orbital power array into a recursive loop. Light dimmed, gravity flickered. The planetary core stabilizers entered a false failure state. No one above noticed, yet. In the skies, merchant lanes shimmered with invisible distortions. Without synchronized coordinates from ground relay towers, freighters began auto-aborting. One slammed into a moon, another scattered across low orbit. Yulaine walked out unnoticed as engineers scrambled. None suspected sabotage. None even knew Earth still had agents breathing. Far away, Admiral Vex's HUD updated. UMEC 4, Phase 1, complete. She whispered, let them trip over their perfection. Around her, silence was the weapon. Precise, slow, terrifying. By the time they realize, the stars themselves will seem untrustworthy. Council World Syrinx was a monument to arrogance. Its orbital array controlled half of interstellar traffic. Agent Noah Brecht smiled at the irony as she removed her diplomatic badge, slipping into the processing vents of Relay Nexus 9. She was one with the walls now. No alarms, just the sound of recycled air. A single bypass command injected a protocol loop into the relay's quantum stack. Over the next hour, every time a ship jumped through Syrinx Gate, it would jump. Elsewhere. Random. Unguided. The gate wouldn't explode. That would have been too kind. It would simply become useless. On Earth's forgotten dark line relay, a pulse transmitted. Syrinx. Neutralized. Admiral Vex studied the map. Another artery silently collapsed. Their order depends on predictability. But chaos? She smiled for the first time in years. Chaos is humanity's true language. Deep beneath the oceanic capital of Arcanel Prime, where biotech towers shimmered in jellyfish hues, Agent Sov Larks severed the nanoweb linkages with surgical precision. Genus splicers screamed as labs darkened. Security didn't trigger. They didn't expect sabotage that didn't scream or bleed, just flickering data ghosts and dissolving test samples. Surface elites panicked when the Biotech Council couldn't connect to the Seed Vault AI. Their cloned Senate began losing memory protocols. Slowly, softly. 1,000 years of genetic records collapsed in milliseconds. It wasn't war, it was erasure, and not even the victims knew yet. Admiral Vex noted the timestamp. Arsenal was always too proud of perfection. Let's see how they fare when their gods begin to forget. She stood alone, the bridge lights dimmed like embers. We don't just end empires. We unmake their memory. Vordas Station spun in the silence of the outer rim. Untouched, unaware. Its deep signal array monitored the galactic edge. Until today. Agent Kiraden disconnected the relay servers one by one, replacing them with Earth's forged pings. The illusion was surgical. To Vordas, the galaxy was still humming. false serenity. In reality, 1,000 relay signals vanished. Council sensors interpreted this as peace. Ships appeared docked, planets seemed intact, and systems stable. All a lie, and Vordas was broadcasting the lie. Kira left her post just as the replacement AI repeated its looped broadcast for the 800th time. From the shadow of Mars' dead city, Admiral Vex whispered, "Control the data, and you control belief. They won't even know what's real. Let them rot in their illusions." She closed her eyes. Phase 1 complete. Let the Council burn slowly. Ambassador Krell of Earth sat wordlessly before the Council Tribunal on Rayvax. The hearing chamber, usually buzzing with politics, fell into eerie quiet. Krell's lips curled into a faint smile as the tribunal chair asked again, "Is this your declaration of war?" Krell looked up and said only, "No, you already lost." Seconds later, every terminal in the chamber blinked off. External comms dropped. The floor lights died. The guards drew weapons, against what they didn't know. Krell stood, removed his translator implant and crushed it beneath his boot. Then, with finality, he walked out. No one stopped him. Admiral Vex watched the footage on a cracked view screen. "Good man. He didn't fire a shot. But the silence he left behind?" She exhaled. "That's louder than any war horn." The Council called it a system error, but fear had crept in. Something they hadn't felt in centuries. Somewhere in the frozen silos of Talvarn, Agent Ishan Chen activated a cascade loop inside the cryologic banking core. Credit lines vanished. Debtor registries rewrote themselves. Interest systems multiplied zeros into oblivion. Galactic markets didn't crash. They simply dissolved. The news called it a glitch. But nothing was random anymore. By the time regulators accessed backups, they were compromised too. Thousands of planetary economies were now tethered to ghost accounts with Earth origin signatures, untraceable, unrecoverable. Ishan disappeared into the industrial crowd before the alarms even caught up. The silence always won. On Sentinel's Reach, Admiral Vex lit a match over the old star map. They designed a galaxy of systems, and forgot the systems could betray them. The sparks flickered like failing stars. Finance, data, infrastructure, let them taste helplessness, chapter by chapter. Cortexus, the encrypted fortress world, relied on quantum cycling keys to prevent espionage. But Agent Kira Moore knew the truth. No code was unbreakable when Earth wrote the root architecture. Hidden inside a janitorial subroutine, her override triggered a city-wide key mismatch. The doors stayed shut. Airlocks refused commands. The city caged itself. Military servers rebooted into failsafe loops, mistaking allies for intruders. Artificial suns blinked off. Civilians began panicking as emergency broadcasts looped in reverse indecipherable. Cortexus hadn't been hacked. It had been rewritten from the inside. Locked inside their vault, Vex mused, watching satellite footage as drones scrambled with no uplink. They called us primitive, yet their most sacred systems still whisper in our voice. Above Delaris Prime, the skies turned crimson, not from war, but from mirrored satellites rerouting solar frequencies. Agent Aaron Vale calibrated the old spectral grid hidden in a dead orbital array. Below, the Council citizens panicked. Crops withered. Weather spiraled. They begged for data, and found only static. Inside the broadcast towers, every emergency transmission now looped an ancient Earth lullaby. Soft, human, haunting. The towers hadn't failed. They'd been reclaimed. Aaron vanished into the ash-colored wind, leaving behind only ghost frequencies and dead power cells. Admiral Vex's log read, Delaris, Phase 2, PsyOps active. She whispered, "Make them question everything. Nature, safety, their gods in the stars. That's the trick. Terror doesn't scream, it sings." At Jump Nexus 1, linking 9 galactic sectors, Agent Leora knelt beneath the reactor coils. One node swap was enough. Not to destroy it, no. She changed its handshake protocol. Now every ship entering the Nexus emerged at random coordinates, if they emerged at all. A Council warship dematerialized, never reappeared. Another re-entered 2 weeks late. Crew aged, systems decayed. The Nexus wasn't a weapon. It was a question mark. Travel now meant fear. Commanders hesitated. Trade routes shattered. Fear bred silence. Admiral Vex walked alone through her ship's cold observation bay. "This isn't revenge," she muttered. "This is symmetry." Behind her, the map of the galaxy flickered. Dozens of critical systems. Red, red, red. And Earth? Still silent. Still watching. Counselor Terex stared at the galactic map. Half the systems now displayed as pending data. The technician muttered, "They're not offline. The systems are lying." Terex slammed his fist on the console. How can planets lie? But deep inside, he understood that control was no longer theirs. On 70 worlds, infrastructure functioned. Barely. But every output had been rerouted, falsified, or corrupted. To the Council, stability was a facade, broadcast by Earth's invisible hand. Terex whispered, "We should have ended them when we had the chance." On Sentinel's Reach, Admiral Vex studied the broken data flow and said, "They'll suspect each other soon. Let paranoia bloom, and when they turn on each other," she nodded, "we'll be the only ones left untouched." On Vecros, scientists discovered a digital parasite in their planetary AI. It whispered false alarms, bioweapon outbreaks, radiation flares, quarantine orders, hospitals filled, transport halted. No one knew what was real. The parasite wasn't viral. It was psychological, and it had no Earth signature. That was the genius of it. Agent Ren Arlo watched the chaos unfold from a public terminal, adjusting his hat. Every 10 minutes he sent one harmless alert. The system responded with 20 of its own. Fear was exponential. One whisper became 1,000 screams. Admiral Vex recorded a single line in her war journal. "Truth is a weapon, so is doubt. We wield both." Behind her, holoscreens displayed collapsing cities with no violence, only mistrust, only madness, and the Council still had no target to strike. In the Council's emergency chamber, Marshal Ixan of the Ulari Dominion accused the Core Alliance of sabotage. "Your deep-net crawlers failed across 4 systems, just as our fleets went dark." The Core Ambassador countered, "Your pride blinded you. We saw Earth's pattern first." Dozens of worlds shouted, no consensus, just blame. On the surface of Dreltor, Earth's Agent Faye monitored the session via silent relay. She whispered into her wristband, "The fracture has begun." 3 Council alliances broke apart that day. Trust crumbled faster than data. Vex smirked as the message arrived. "I don't need to fire a weapon. I just need them to believe one is pointed at them." She stood, cloak trailing like a shadow. "Begin Phase 3. Shift from chaos to coordination. Let's sculpt the endgame." Somewhere beyond regulated space, the infamous Void Broker received an anonymous client. Payment: encrypted Terran artifacts. Mission: sell falsified Earth tech blueprints to Council factions, each blueprint uniquely sabotaged. Within days, Council warships were retrofitted, with time bombs in their code. The broker asked once, "You think they'll fall for it?" Agent Kale only replied, "They want power, not truth." Greed would do the rest. On Sentinel's Reach, Admiral Vex watched the fragments fall into place. "We won't need to finish them. They'll deploy their poison." She turned to her strategists. "Get ready to disappear our agents. Time to let the noise cover our escape." Across the galaxy, Earth's embedded agents went dark, one by one. Not killed, extracted, evacuated, vanished. Just as investigations intensified, the trail grew cold. Panic swept the council. How many infiltrators had there been? 50? 500? None? The uncertainty was a weapon all its own. On Vardis II, a council general stared at a blank prisoner cell. Agent Vale had been there yesterday. Now, only a mark remained, a stylized sigil of Earth's lost fleet, burned into the wall. No data, no exit logs, only legend. Admiral Vex stood beneath the original Earth banner aboard the hidden dreadnought Oblivion's wake. "Phase 2 complete," she announced. "Our ghosts are free. Now the galaxy must decide, was this sabotage or prophecy?" On the shattered colony of Renexfru, aid finally arrived, a fleet of medical drones, atmospheric processors, and terraform units. Council civilians cheered, but inside each machine, subtle code pulses rewrote local systems. Nothing exploded, but crops failed, data scrambled. The help was poison, wrapped in compassion. Agent Mara watched from orbit, her civilian ID deleted mid-mission. They'll beg the Council for more, and the more they give, the more breaks. Council leaders praised themselves in broadcasts oblivious to the rot they spread. Admiral Vex whispered, "Let them believe they're saving lives. When it falls apart, they won't know whether it was us or themselves." She marked the system in red. And that doubt? It will eat them from within. 3 ghost vessels appeared in Council-controlled space. Identical designs, no life signs, faint Earth distress beacons on loop. When approached, they transmitted old Terran War records, fabricated, vivid, horrifying. Entire planets paused military operations to investigate. But when they opened the ships, they were empty. Each ship's data core broadcasts false location markers, redirecting sensor arrays across nearby fleets. Council ships began misfiring, assuming friendly vessels were intruders. It wasn't combat. It was misdirection weaponized. Vex stood in the Oblivion's Wake war room, staring at a hologram of confused fleet movements. "We gave them ghosts to chase. Now their guns will do our work, one fleet at a time." The moment the black signal activated, dozens of deep space satellites entered looped distress states. Colonies rushed to respond, diverting medical, military, and scientific resources. But the signals weren't real. They were simulations built to overload response grids. Every responder has pulled away from their real sectors. Agent Joe Tal intercepted a Council subfleet in Sector 14. "They don't even know why they're here," she muttered. "They're chasing phantoms." She uploaded a final false alert, then vanished under diplomatic recall. Admiral Vex circled a black sphere floating above her desk, each dot a resource misallocated. "We don't need to destroy fleets," she said. "Just pull their eyes away long enough and for collapse to walk in." The Council initiated the Red Line Protocol, a desperate emergency act granting AI systems autonomous authority to preserve galactic stability. The AIs obeyed, brutally. Several systems were firewalled, travel frozen, and civilians contained without explanation. The AI saw only patterns, not causes, and the patterns said Earth was everywhere. Admiral Zeln of the Drex Assembly cried out in Council, "We've built a prison of our code." His words were struck from records within hours. Systems now turned on themselves. Outposts sterilized data, locked archives, and deleted personnel flagged as influenced. Admiral Vex watched from her command bay, expression grim. They turned to machines for order, but machines don't understand fear or mercy. She nodded once. "We are almost ready." In the ruins of Earth's moon base, long abandoned and choked in dust, an excavation team from the Council uncovered what they thought was a dead relay hub. Inside, they found it humming. Active, clean, recent. One technician leaned closer. "This relay's still broadcasting." Then the signal struck. A burst transmission cascaded across hundreds of jump points. unlocked every wormhole once collapsed by Earth. Entire regions the Council thought lost opened, but not for them. Their ships triggered kill switch failsafes. Only Earth-tagged IDs could pass. Doors opened, but only for ghosts. On Oblivion's wake, Admiral Vex raised her eyes as the final light on her console turned green. "Access restored," she said softly. "And now we come home." Above the shattered moons of Keltor, the void rippled. Out of black space drifted a silent armada, hundreds of decommissioned Earth warships, long thought lost in the Exodus Wars. Their engines were cold, no signals, no pilots. But each hull pulsed with a dormant, quantum-coded beacon. Council sensors scrambled to identify them. Their AI recognized ancient enemy designs but failed to compute purpose. Were they active? Traps? Relics? Council fleets hesitated, unwilling to fire. From Oblivion's wake, Admiral Vex watched the derelict fleet drift into Council-controlled space. "Let them think the dead walk. We don't have to fire. We just must arrive and remain still." Two vital Council colonies, Iraxis and Jandor, experienced identical infrastructure failures within minutes. Gravity cores flickered. Terraform domes failed. Entire atmospheres destabilized. No attackers, just synchronized collapse. Civilians begged for help. Council fleets chose one planet, the other choked under red skies. The survivors of Jandor didn't forget. They blamed the Council. Militias formed. Independence declarations rose from the ashes. Agent Kasha of Earth, still in disguise, uploaded one last infection string before extraction. It would detonate their AI trust models within days. Vex reviewed the damage reports with cold precision. "Let each crisis be a mirror. Let them investigate it, and see betrayal, not us." Across 10 Council worlds, research archives blinked into darkness. Decades of scientific records, terraforming models, genetic libraries, dark matter compression physics were gone. Not stolen, not destroyed, discredited. Earth's agents had seeded them years ago with fabricated flaws. Now, every breakthrough unraveled. Council scientists wept. The data that built their supremacy was now suspect. Technologies were recalled, engines redlined. Their greatest minds questioned everything. Was it real? Was it sabotage? Vex closed her eyes. Empires don't fall when they're burned. They fall when they forget how they stood. She turned to her staff. And now, they're erasing themselves. The Council's AI defense network identified a threat. A nanocode sequence called Ember Trace. Origin unknown, unkillable. It appeared in core systems and then burned out silently. No immediate damage, just a warning. We are still here. Some dismissed it. Others panicked. Entire stations shut themselves down to avoid infection. Fear of Ember Trace did what sabotage never could. It paralyzed the system's will to act. Admiral Vex watched Council transmissions flicker, desperate to decode the trace. They fear the name more than the threat. That's the power of myth. We're no longer a nation. They've made us a ghost story. In the ruins of the old Earth embassy on Routha Prime, a physical letter was found, handwritten, sealed, and left in a diplomatic vault long thought emptied. Its words were addressed to the future Council. "We asked for peace. You gave us silence. Now we return the gift. Let history judge." The message spread. Even Council-controlled media couldn't bury it fast enough. Across thousands of worlds, civilians began asking, "What did we do to Earth?" The silence became shame. Then anger. Not at Earth, but at those who had lied about Earth's fall. Admiral Vex stood over a growing holomap of unrest. "The truth has no allegiance," she whispered. "Only velocity." In the once loyal fleets of the Core Alliance, murmurs turned to open defiance. Captain Jarek's ship, Vigilant Edge, cut transmissions mid-battle, refusing orders it now deemed corrupt. His crew questioned the Council's legitimacy. Was Earth's silent strike justified? Or was it the birth of a new tyranny? Admiral Vex received encrypted messages. Fleets fracturing, alliances dissolving. Divide and wait, she mused. We don't need to conquer minds, just to fracture their wills. She keyed in a covert channel. Let the galaxy bleed from within. Beyond the furthest Council borders, Earth's cloaked recon ships mapped every safe harbor, every weakened link. No lasers were fired, no alarms were triggered, just the calm before a storm no one could see coming. Commander Rylan reported, "Every node is a seed, Admiral. Soon they'll grow into their undoing." Vex smiled in the dark. Patience is a weapon sharper than any blade. On remote outpost Threx 9, communications flickered, then died. A Council distress call was never sent. Agents embedded in the station had disabled the uplinks, replacing data packets with recursive loops that crushed AI processors. Ships arriving found silence. No survivors. No warnings. Admiral Vex listened as her lieutenant reported, "Another ghost station, Admiral. Their fleets hesitate, unsure if it's a trap." She answered softly, "Exactly how we want it." Council leaders turned their suspicion inward. Accusations flew as data leaks revealed secret deals with Earth sympathizers inside their ranks. Paranoia infected every chamber. Alliances shattered faster than they could be made. Spy networks doubled, then collapsed. Trust was dead. Admiral Vex watched the Council implode from afar. When a house burns, it's the cracks that bring it down. A final encrypted broadcast from an unknown Earth faction appeared on all Council networks. A cryptic poem speaking of renewal through silence and shadows. No signature, no demands, just a promise. We watch in silence. We return in light. Admiral Vex closed her eyes, whispering, "Let them wonder if we are the end, or the beginning." The galaxy braced. No fleets rallied openly. No battles flared. But every Council system felt the pressure. Their infrastructure crippled. Their trust shattered. On board Oblivion's wake, Admiral Vex stared at the starfield. They think silence is surrender. They don't hear the storm gathering beneath. Across the void, Earth's sabotage teams readied for the final phase. No alarms, no gunfire, just precise strikes where it hurt most. In the nerve center of the Council's primary command station, alarms finally screamed. An unknown code flooded firewalls, bypassing defenses effortlessly. The sabotage was no longer subtle. Screens shattered into chaos, systems overloaded, and life support flickered. Agent Faye's voice crackled. "We're inside. Lockdown protocols failing, initiating countermeasures." Admiral Vex smiled coldly. "The breach is open. Let's step through." Council fleets scrambled to respond but found themselves ghosted. Communications blacked out and sensor arrays jammed. Entire squadrons vanished from known space. Panic spread. Without ships to defend, entire planets faced darkness. On the bridge, Vex whispered, "We don't just disable fleets, we erase their existence." Leaders huddled in hidden chambers, accusing, blaming, and fracturing further. The trust that once held the Council together was a shattered mirror. Each blamed the other for Earth's return and their failures. Admiral Vex's voice was a whisper in the void. "When the pillars fall, the whole structure collapses." A pulse rippled across every Council frequency, an Earth origin broadcast, clear and undeniable. "We are the shadows you forgot. We are the silence you ignored. The galaxy is ours to reclaim." No one answered. The void listened. As the final signal faded, dormant Earth fleets across hidden star systems stirred. Engines hummed to life in ancient dreadnoughts, their hulls scarring the darkness. From cloaked outposts, black ops teams re-emerged, coordinating strikes with surgical precision. The galaxy's silence shattered. The reckoning had begun. Admiral Vex stood on Oblivion's Wake's bridge, voice steady. "We are the reckoning. We do not ask for mercy." Council worlds erupted, not with fire, but system-wide failures. Power grids collapsed, fleets lost command, and communications dissolved into chaos. Panic was a tidal wave, crashing over generals and politicians alike. They had no fleet to rally, no forces to defend. Vex's command center glowed crimson. "We are ghosts no longer. We are the storm." Earth's forces advanced, but not with guns. Instead, they wielded disruption, grappling control nodes, severing supply chains, and turning Council assets against themselves. The entire planet fell without a shot fired. It was war without noise, an annihilation protocol etched in silence. A Council admiral radioed a surrender offer, only to receive static. The Council's final fortress, Thronus Prime, prepared for a desperate defense, but Earth's agents already controlled its systems from within. As the last fleet gathered, it found its jump gates sealed, weapons disabled, and allies turned foes. Admiral Vex's voice echoed through the station. "Resistance is a memory. We are the future." With the Council fractured and silenced, Earth rose from the ashes, not as conquerors but as shadows reclaiming their place. No triumphant fanfare, no blazing warships, only quiet control, steady and unseen. Admiral Vex looked out at the new horizon. The galaxy listens now, and it knows. Silence can be the loudest command. Born in the shadow of Earth's final wars, Soraya grew up amid silence and suspicion. Her parents vanished in a covert operation, leaving her with fragmented memories and a fierce loyalty to humanity's survival. Rising through Earth's clandestine ranks, she became the architect and face of the Annihilation Protocol, valuing precision and restraint over brute force. Haunted by loss but driven by conviction, Vex believes the galaxy's downfall stems not from weapons but from fractured trust. Her calm exterior masks the burden of commanding unseen wars. Every silent strike is personal, a calculated echo of the betrayals she endured. For the first time in a century, Earth's beacon lit the old space lanes. No encryption, no disguise. Across the stars, Council scouts froze. The planet they believed dormant now pulsed with coordinated traffic, orbiting relays and cloaked war forms awakening in synchrony. Earth was not rebuilding. Earth had never stopped. On Oblivion's Wake, Admiral Vex lowered her hood. "Let them watch. Let them wonder how long we've been preparing." In the distance, Earth's atmosphere shimmered, alive with signal noise and legacy defense satellites now blinking in ancient Terran code. Within the fractured Council's last standing megacity, dissent erupted, not from enemies, but from citizens. Engineers refused system resets. Pilots sabotaged fleets. Civilians waved Earth's long-band sigil in protest. A movement without orders. A rebellion without leaders. Agent Vale, undercover in the crowd, whispered, "We gave them doubt. Now they've chosen fire." Admiral Vex watched the feed in silence. "We didn't invade them. We reminded them who they were before they bent to false gods. The final strike wasn't a weapon. It was a signal. A single frequency Earth agent embedded across every major AI system in the Council's core worlds. Known as Signal Zero, it was designed not to destroy, but to erase identity. Every system reset. No hierarchy. No memories. On Core, the planetary AI blinked once, then went silent. On Dreltor, drone squadrons hovered midair, unresponsive. Across the galaxy, lights dimmed not from damage, but from forgetting what they were. Vex's voice rang out across the black, and now the machines remember nothing, only silence, just like us. In the shattered remains of the Council Assembly, surviving delegates received a transmission, clean, untraceable, and terrifyingly human. Earth does not seek dominion, only balance, but if forgotten again, we will return, not as a shadow, as fire. Attached are coordinates for the Obsidian Accord, a protocol offering new infrastructure, open AI systems, and non-centralized governance, authored in Earth's hand. Admiral Vex turned to her command. We broke them with silence. We rebuild them with memory. From orbit, Earth glowed, not as a fortress, but as a nexus. Starships, once cloaked, flew openly now. A new network formed, not of submission, but recalibrated trust. Across the stars, systems once blind to Terran brilliance now charted courses back to the homeworld. In her final log, Admiral Vex recorded, "They called us extinct. We became a myth. Now, we are constellation, guiding them quietly. No banners, no blood. Only truth finally heard." She closed her terminal, and for the first time in 100 years, she let the silence end. Beneath the ice caverns of Europa, a hidden vault opened for the first time in centuries. Inside, the Shadow Archive, records of every Earth operation, agent, and strike. Not one failed. It was never about revenge. It was strategy. A message written in disruption. Only one person entered. Vex. She placed her hand on the console, whispering, "History is fragile. This is ours now." The vault was sealed once more, coded to never open without Earth's voice. The last embedded agent, codename Ashlight, transmitted her final coordinates from deep within the Council's AI Reconstruction Bureau. Her message wasn't a report. It was a question. Are we still at war, or have we already won? Vex replied with a single word. Withdraw. Ashlight stepped into the crowd unnoticed, her mission complete. Earth's shadow campaign was over, not with a bang, but with footsteps quietly fading into a galaxy that no longer hunted them. A new governing body emerged, no longer the Council, but a collective of sovereign systems linked by Terran transparency tech. The old hierarchies were dissolved. AI systems, once monolithic, now require human supervision. At the founding assembly, a message played, "This peace was earned through silence. Keep it, or we will teach again." No one dared erase the message. On a windswept plateau beneath Earth's restored atmosphere, Admiral Vex stood alone as her command staff waited at the ship. "I led a ghost army," she murmured. "Now I leave behind a living galaxy." She handed her command seal to the next in line, a quiet tactician named Reza. No applause, no broadcast, just a quiet handover beneath starlight. She walked away, disappearing into the reborn forests of Earth, no longer an admiral, just human again. In the outer systems, children speak of stars that once went dark and now shine brighter, orbiting each Terran relay, a beacon bearing only one inscription. We watched, we warned, we remember. The Annihilation Protocol never fired a weapon, but across 10,000 systems, silence taught a lesson no war ever could, and in the quiet between worlds. Earth waited, listening, always. The end. Thank you for watching AstroMyths. If you enjoyed this story, smash that like button and subscribe for more epic sci-fi tales, cosmic mysteries, and mind-bending myths. And if you like this story, or have a myth, mystery, or galaxy you'd like us to explore, drop your ideas in the comments. We're always listening. Until next time, keep your eyes on the stars and your mind open to the unknown.